Hello, everyone. Welcome to one more budget episode where we're going to go over possibly minimum requirement or where you should go for before you start going to WoW. Obviously, you can go to WoW War of Imperium beforehand, but this is my recommendation. Obviously, I'm no professional, but this is my recommendation on what you need. So today we're going to talk about wizards. Um, the wizard is kind of very dependent on situation. For example, I know the server has a lot of Golden Thief Bug cards, so I'm gonna have a hard time because a lot of people are gonna be immune to me. Um, but I also know that we're probably not gonna have strings, so my cast's gonna be a lot slower. And I actually brought some items to compensate for that. Let's go through the items. Uh, so I said there are four types: dexterity, um, attack speed. Actually, that's important for wizards. Um, After skill reduction, which also important for wizard, and strength or not strength, magic attack. Right. Those are the four stats that you want to balance depending on who you're playing with. So, for example, if you have no string on your guild, you're gonna want to go for priority dex, right? You want to get to as close to 149 or 150. I like 150 for wizards. Some people like 149. I believe the 149 build is way late game. We're talking about kill and all that other stuff. So I don't want to say that that's a good option, especially for the starter. So Dex I think is the most important. 150 if you can, it's close to it. The second best skill if you don't have strings is after cast delay. Unfortunately, I don't have any of those items. Those are instead of nimble gloves, you would use expert rings, and instead of the glorious set, you would use Diablo's robe, which starts getting into the more pricey range. Same thing with the expert ring. Um, there is a wand that gives you after cast reduction, but since I don't have a lot of damage, I'm gonna use a damage one. Um, Same thing for kill. That's like expensive, but anyways, if you have the money, if you have the resource, if you have access, you want to go for those two: dex and skill after cast reduction. Then you want to concentrate on damage, right? So the more magic attack you can get, the better. And then finally, you want to do attack speed. On a War of Imperium that does not have string. However, this priority changes if you go into war with string. If you have string, you're gonna want to do 149 or 150 dex as your priority. Um, but it's almost as equal priority to go for magic attack. So, I would start putting more, a ninja scroll here, maybe a skull cap on the top or a bunny hat. Anything that increases my magic attack, I would want to go with the 5% armor, the one that increases. So you want to go for damage, and then you want to go for attack speed, and then finally after cast reduction, in that order. That will optimize your wizard for the situation that you're in. Couple of things that I'm gonna be worried about. I know the enemy guild is gonna have stun. I'm not gonna be able to do anything about that, so I'm gonna need a priest. My damage is not gonna be the greatest, so if you can have a scholar outside of guild mind breaking you, that will triple your damage easily. I don't know if it's triple, but it's significantly larger. Um, so when you're doing that much more damage, you're gonna want to be careful with Soul Link, and we'll talk about the Soul Linker in a minute. But all right, so now that we know what to prioritize, let's look at my items. So I went, Apple of Archer 3 decks. There is a um, 4 decks item. I guess I could use it. Yeah, there's a ramen, but we're not gonna use that. We're gonna use Apple of Archer, Nubist hat you could probably get, Robo Eyes. I don't know where to get this. I believe this is from KP item, and it can be crafted, just mainly for the decks and magic attack there. Well Chewed Pencil, I believe, is also a KP item or that you can craft. Um, and if you guys want some an episode just on crafting items, I'll show you guys. It's really quick, but we can do a. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that tutorial, and I'll go ahead and make one. But yeah, armor. We're gonna go with the Glorious set. I actually prefer for Wizard the cape, the BG, the Battleground. But again, the Battleground will require you to have Evil Druid, which, by the way, you cannot use Evil Druid while getting Mind Broken. So if you're gonna use Evil Druid, you got to make sure you have a second armor, an unfrozen regular mark, because you're gonna have to swap. Before combat, you can have the mark on. As soon as you get Mind Broken, you see the Mind Break, or your Scholar communicates that he Mind Broke you. Then you can put the Evil Druid, and then he won't be able to Mind Break you after that. So make sure you're communicating with your Scholar. On the cape, Wizards. I have a theory that Wizards shouldn't get hit. So Raydrick on the BG cape will not help you. Go for magic attack. Go for int. Go for those two if you can. Those are the ones you want to go for. And then you want a Mateer on the shoes if you're not wearing Glorious. Wands. So obviously TSOD is the good old, awesome one. If you have a +10 Bone Wand, comboing with the Skull Cap, obviously you're gonna go for that. But for the budget, there's a BG wand, and you're gonna want the Magic Wand, and only because it has like these stun chances, and bypass humanoid magic defense, and it also gives you 3 decks. So that's a really nice wand. This won't work that well on the barricade. So if you're gonna do barricade destruction on World 2.0, you're gonna want to take something that has more magic attack and less humanoid demi-human damage. I'm gonna use my Cranio, Anti-Cranio. There are people that just use. Again, this probably won't save your life. This is mainly for Storm Gust. If I get Storm Gusted on, so it has 20% resistance to water, and then the Tower will work for Storm Gust. So this is mainly for that. If there are no wizards on the other side, I might even use someone else. And then for accessories, you could go. I went for decks because I know I'm not going to have strings. But you could go with Glorious to get that reduction and HP, or but you're going to want to go Orleans Glove as soon as you have the money for it. Expert Rings. Yeah, and that's it. And again, if you have strings and you don't need these Nimbles because you already made up for the deck somewhere else, like 3 decks armor, that kind of stuff. If that's the case, you can actually go for the Sign. It's a quest item. It's to open up Cursed Water, the Cursed Water map, the Angel map, Gefenia, whatever. That will actually increase a lot. People don't know about that, but that damage increase, it's 5%. It's actually one of the best damage items, other than the good old Brizzing God item, right? But in terms of magic attack, that is actually the biggest increase. So if you have a good string with you, you might want to go for 2 of those to get your damage up. In terms of consumable, like I said, we don't have strings, so I'm going to go for a Dex Food. That's 10. I'm also taking some Blessed Scrolls. That's also 10 dex. I could take Int and all that, but we're going to do as budgets as I can. White chocolate, there is a quest for it. I can throw it in the description. It's here on the channel. There's a tutorial how to get that. It's an NPC. Stella, also an NPC item bought in Hugo. Authoritative badge you can get from Sohi or guild supply boxes and GDs and Battle 3. Obviously Battle 3 is harder, but GD you can get, guild dungeons you can get there. Speedpot, NPC in Lighthouse, they sell. Royal Jelly, if you're gonna farm for authoritative badges in guild dungeon, I recommend Luina. That has Royal Jelly drop as well. You're gonna want the Royal Jellies because you're not gonna be immune to anything. Every status will affect you, and the Royal Jelly can pretty much take out most status, so that's a really good one to have. I'm gonna take some of these, but I do have a priest logged in, so I don't think I'll have a problem with that. With having warps, I want to take a lot of blue gems, some red gems for stone cursing, which I actually don't even think that's in the bar. Stone curse, that's only for that, and this is for Gambantine, and I'll show you those skills. Gambantine is without strings, you're not gonna use it too much. If somebody's breaking an imp and someone's safety walling it, you're gonna get one chance to Gamban it. If you don't have strings, there's not much you can do unless you have good items. But let's see here. For the bar, I have the 2 potions. Water ball probably won't be used. Most likely won't be used. Even if there is an opportunity, I probably won't use it. I'll try to use it just for fun, but Quag is definitely important. Level 1 is fine. You just want to slow down guardians. You want to slow down people's cast. So right when you know they're about to cast, you can throw it on top of them, and they cast right on top of it. It completely messes with them, especially scholars that are trying to ME. That will mess with them a lot. Obviously, if they have GTB, none of this will work, but JT is going to be a primary killing along with level 10 Stormgust. Amp, obviously, you want to amp an SG as often as you can, and then anything that freezes, you amp and JT. Safety wall is going to be your best friend, especially on a server like Classic that has a million Synaxes and champs. So you're going to see that being used a lot. On the second bar, I got Speed Pot's going to be your best friend if you're in a cast delay because, you just cast SG and there's a GT, Golden Thief bug champ chasing you. He'll go right through your SG, and you're not going to be able to cast Safety Wall just yet, so you want to have Speed Pot to get away from it. Also, there are guardians on the 2.0 castles, so you want to get away from them. And then I have my Bless and Agi options here. Sight, kind of important, especially if people are grimming. Stone Curse, you want to get at least level 6. You don't need level 10. Level 6 is plenty. The reason you want level 6 is you start not using gems when it fails. It only when it succeeds. Gambantine is to open up holes in the floor, I'd say, like removing area of effects, removing safety wall, that kind of stuff. Grab Field, I have this only for the reason that there's so many GTBs in the server. I actually don't like the amount of GTB that is in the server, but this will actually hit GTB users, and you can actually bug position them. It's actually quite annoying. People say you can break imps with it too, but I don't care for that. Firebolt. So there are people that will use, Earth Armor, and then you can also have the Scholar Stone Curse and Fiber somebody. You want to have Energy Coat the whole entire time. I'm actually going to put this in the bar now. I have level 1 SG. You want something quick and get out. Or if they're reflecting you, you're going to want to use level 1. Heaven's Drive is for stalkers that are hidden. Earth Spike is for people that are using the elemental armor. The wind elemental armors. That will actually do a lot of damage though. You don't need a fire arrow. Crystal Fragment. The reason you want this is if the other team has Soul Linkers, you're gonna want to have a Soul Linker as well. With the Wizard Spirit, the Kaite skill that reflects magic attack will not hit you if you're linked and you have crystal fragments in your inventory. It's the counter to the Kaite, because Kaite will get you killed. There's nothing you can do about Plat Shield, but at least Kaite will be okay with that. Obviously, if you can marry the linker to your wizard, that's always a good thing, because you can recall them to the door of the castle to relink. You can also use Kalpe and Kaite on your wizard, so that if you're going into a castle on a precast, you get a little bit of survivability. And then you also have SK. So if you're defending a castle that has guardians, that would increase the damage on the enemy, or yeah, that the enemy take from the guardians. All right, guys, I just finished playing WoW. It was pretty fun. On a 2.0 castle, there are a few tricks, and actually a few tricks I want to show you about Wizard that a lot of people might not know or might not use. So I actually turned on RCX, so you can actually see my skill area. Stormgust and other AoEs, they might look like they cast the circle, but they actually hit as far as the square. Also worth remembering that some skills like Meteor will actually AoE splash damage. So the meteor might hit the top right spot, but it will splash around it. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So if there's let's say there's a barricade, there's a barricade there. If you're using meteor, you can actually, one up. You can use it right there, and it'll actually hit those barricades. Same if their ME is to this point. If anybody's, like, let's say this guy's on an ME, right? But he's at the very tip, so the ME goes all the way here, all the way here. So he's standing on the ME. If you cast right outside of it, it'll actually hit him. Another trick for that kind of stuff is, let's say this back row is the barricade, right? If the back row is the barricade, there, that's the barricade line, right? If you stand outside of range, see how the barricade disappears at a certain point? Boom. So the barricade is there. So there's like one more, so you can see that there's one more square above it. That's where the barricade is. You can actually cast at max range. Let's see here, what's the max range? Nope. Two more up. There. So if you cast there, it will hit those barricades with Stormgust, right? But you can actually stand outside of people's range, so they might not see. So you can see the barricade, but you don't have to cast on top of the barricade. You would do just as much damage if you cast just on the last cell. So usually what happens is, if they have people on this side, they won't even see that you're casting on the barricade. And if they're doing a stun and all that other stuff, it usually won't hit all the way down here. So as long as you can cast on that cell, you might be safe from stun. They might not be safe from the Stormgust. Okay. Another good thing to have. This is a little bit dependent on the server. There are some items, for example, the Guarana candy. It gives you Agi Up. So it allows you to use Agi Up at any time, sort of like an alternative badge, but it actually gives you the skill agio. And what you can do with that is cut delay with it. So you can cast, you know, I'm clicking and I can't cast yet. You see that bar on top of my head? It won't let me cast until that's like near the end. Actually, I think it's the red bar there. Yeah, it's the red bar. So it won't let me cast until that red bar is gone. With the candy, you can cast, use the candy, and then you can cast again on the other side. You can actually stack a couple of skills with those candies. There are a few items that can do that. Just play around on your server. You know, cast, use a skill. You know, that one's still blocking, but there are a few items, consumables, that will actually cut. So all you got to do is on your server figure out which items those are. All right, I hope that helps, and I'll see you guys next one. Bye bye.